Hello, my name is Cassandra Dean, and I am here to talk about my virtual library that I selected using Google Books. The first genre, that I want to talk about is poetry, and I reviewed the books Thunder Underground and Feel the Beat, and I enjoyed both books, but my favorite was Thunder Underground. I will be a high school biology teacher, so anything that has to do with science, living and non living things, is something that I am very interested in. Feel the Beat, it was about salsa dancing and just different types of Latin dance movements. And it was okay, but it was my least favorite. I would use Thunder Underground in my classroom. My next genre of books was historical fiction, and my favorite book actually was Hand in Hand. It touched my heart. It was about two children who mother left during the World War II. They were in Germany, and the mother never came home. And the little girl told her brother, "I'll always have your hand." And the little boy was adopted, and the separation occurred because of that. But as they got older and they built the Holocaust Museum, they actually found each other and were able to come back together again. I did like Patrick and the President too. So both of these were good books, and I would share both of these books with my student. Patrick and the President was about a little boy who uh, was so excited that the president was coming home to Ireland, which is where he was from, and I didn't even know that. John F. Kennedy, the 35th president, and he was so excited that the president was coming home. Boys choir, his class choir got to sing to the president, and he actually got to go to a tea party as a volunteer, and he was able to serve the president. So he was so excited about that. The next set of books I read was What Do Teachers Do After You Leave School and The Color Monster. And this genre was informational. And what do teachers do after you leave school? It was about teachers turning into big kids after their students left school, and they played and had fun just like the kids did. And the Color Monster, it had to do about using colors to explain your emotions. I liked both of these books. With my students, though, I would use the Color Monster. So if they aren't able to verbally tell myself or their friends or family how they feel, maybe they can use color. Like yellow was for happy, blue was for sadness, red was for anger, black was for fear, and green was for calm. And then at the end of the book, I thought was interesting. The little girl said she saw a new color, and it was pink. And she said to the monster, "Can you tell me how you're feeling?" So it was open ended, and I liked both books. The next set of books that I read were science fiction, The Babysitter from Another Planet, and Robot in Love. And the book that I liked the most was The Babysitter from Another Planet. And it was about parents going out to the movies, and they told their kids the babysitter will be here. And these kids saw this big shining green light, and they was excited when the alien came in, and she was able to do supernatural things. And what I thought was so cute was they had to jump in the bed because they saw their parents pulling up and the night light wasn't working, and she just hovered in the room and she was their night light. So I thought that was cute. And that's one that I would read to my students. The Robot in Love was about a robot that fell in love with a toaster, and he, as a robot computer, he went into overload because he was so in love. But he ran into the store and stole the toaster, and they lived happily ever after, and they liked each other because they both loved toast. The next set of books I read was Beautiful, Wonderful, Strong Little Me, and Going Down Home with Daddy. And that was a contemporary realistic fiction. And the book that I would share with my class would be Beautiful, Wonderful, Strong Little Me, because it was a little girl who talked about, don't just look at my outer appearance, but know that I'm beautiful and I'm wonderful and I'm strong. She looked like she was probably of different ethnicities, and people would question her about it all the time. And she told them, don't look at me. Know that, I'm a beautiful, strong, wonderful little girl. And Going Down Home with Daddy, it was about a little boy going to a family reunion with his family, and he didn't have any type of like what word could I use? Any gift to give when they done the family celebration. The kids would present gifts to the grandmother. And so what he decided to do, because it was farmland that had been in the family for years and years and years, he talked about the cotton that grew, how the grandmother made the children's clothes, and the trees that they had on the farm that they could climb and play, and they were pecan trees, so they actually provided food also. And he picked up a handful of dirt and let it run through his fingers and said, this is our land, and it goes on forever and ever. So I like both of these books too, and I would read both of them to my class. The next set of books were my fantasy books, and I read The Snow Pony and The Cat in the Hat. Of course, Dr. Seuss is amazing and wonderful, but I like both of these books, but I would actually choose The Snow Pony to read to my students. And The Snow Pony was about a pony who could sing, who could dance, who could braid hair, and he was so pretty. And it was a bad pony that didn't like that he got all the attention, so he lured Snow Pony away from the farm, and he got lost in the woods. But he met 7 miniature ponies, and they had little jobs. One was a tax collector and one was a beekeeper. And so Snow Pony enjoyed them, but he missed home and the kids that he would entertain. So the 7 mini ponies went home with him, and they all lived happily ever after. So I enjoyed both of those books. The next set of books that I read were diverse population books. All Are Welcome and Don't Touch My Hair. And I enjoyed both of these books too. And the book that I would read to my class, if I had to choose, it would be All Are Welcome, because it talked about diversity, the different ethnicities and languages and cultures and backgrounds that people have. And one thing that I loved that the author said in the book was, all are welcome. Our strength is our diversity. a shelter from adversity, and I love that. But Don't Touch My Hair, I like that too. It was about a African American little girl who had kinky curly hair, and it was big and everybody wanted to touch it, and she didn't want anybody to touch her hair. And the last set of books that I read were my folk tale books, and they were Little Red Riding Hood and Jack and the Beanstalk. And Little Red Riding Hood, of course, was going to her grandmother's to take her some food because she was sick, and a wolf ate the grandmother, or I'm sorry, not ate her. That's what it was when I grew up, but put her in a closet and hid in the bed, and he wanted to get Little Red Riding Hood, but she figured it out. And Jack and the Beanstalk, it was a poor little boy and his mom, and they only had a cow, and he sold the cow for some beans, and the mother was mad, and she threw the beans out, and the beans actually grew into this beanstalk, and there was a big giant up there that had these gold apples, and Jack wanted to get one so he can take back to his mom so they can have some money. And he was able to get one, and he went back down the tall beanstalk and cut it down so the giant couldn't get to him. So those are the books that I reviewed and included in my virtual library. I believe all the books were entertaining, and there were some hits and misses, and I enjoyed this project. I had never looked at Google Books, and I never even considered ebooks, virtual books. I prefer holding the book in my hand, which all these books I did get because I wanted to hold them in my hand. I didn't just want to read them like an ebook. But it was a very interesting assignment, and I did enjoy it. Again, my name is Cassandra Dean, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you so much.